Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I don't know what part of the world you're in, but I am in the part of the space that makes you say, it's time to smile and have a great day. I don't know, sometimes you start off with a bad thought, but if you wake up and say, "Hey God, thank you for waking me up," you start off with a good thought. So Dr. Draper, that's my thought of the afternoon. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling well, and I want to thank you and the rest of those folks down in Atlanta who knew how, as Spike Lee would say, do the right thing. So kudos to
Absolutely. I had
all
to
those.
vote twice. I mean, it was you know how you vote once early and then you just have to go back. I mean, but you have
And
to
wait a minute,
push.
wait a minute, wait a minute. Don't say you voted twice. We on live face.
Well, how many times did I vote?
I don't know. Oh, you
Twice
mean from the first time and then okay
in
to
the
the
runoff.
runoff?
That's twice.
Okay, yeah, I got it. I got it.
Courtney, our resident Gen Z, how are you?
I'm great. I'm blessed to be here today.
Absolutely. This
How
is
are
the chicken.
you?
I'm fantastic. This is the Chicken Box, powered by the Afro American newspaper, the oldest black business in Maryland, celebrating 130 years. We're talking about black people versus dating today. We got some special guests coming on. I like to get to who is dating out there, and if you're married, are you dating? That's a good question for you. I'm sure we'll get to that as we go forward. But listen, if you're from Baltimore, like myself, you know what a chicken box is. That's full wings, fried. You got salt, pepper, ketchup. You got some hot sauce on it. If you're getting hungry, it's lunchtime. You're thinking about a chicken box. If you never had one, next time you're in Baltimore, get a chicken box and get a half and half. That's sweet tea and lemonade. I'm in Atlanta right now, and they call it an Arnold Palmer. And if you don't say sweet, it'll be horrible. Anyway, this is where you speak your truth about the topic that we're talking about. And today we are talking about dating. So let me bring our first guest. She's a new friend to the Afro. Hi, Erica.
Hi.
Good morning. How are you? Or
Good
afternoon?
afternoon.
I wanted to be morning the whole day for some reason. Uh, Courtney, why don't you introduce our guest just for a second, and she's joining the Afro family as well. So this is
So
perfect
excited.
to just have her on the show today. Courtney.
Sure thing. Erica Alston Buck is a nationally recognized publicist, podcast host, columnist, and influencer who speaks on dating, romance, finding love, and losing love.
Boom, Erica. Give it. I was watching some of your stuff. I didn't get to get all of it, but I was like, huh. I need to take some notes. It may have been a while since I've gotten my dating on, but the married couple, we like to say date night. So
Absolutely.
you got to get in. So Erica, what would you like to share just to kick us off about really what your passion is and what you really have going on with the dating?
I have been both single and married. I believe I have a interesting perspective on dating and the way that women navigate the single space. I think I'm very passionate about just empowering women to make their own decisions when it comes to this dating. I know that Courtney is of one of the generations that over Thanksgiving, people want to know when you're getting married, when you're having babies. And I think it's very important that we own that for ourselves. So my mantra is date them all, right?
Date them all. I really want to learn more about that later. Date them all. That's big, strong, short guys, all tall guys.
Yeah. Don't box yourself into a type. Right.
Skilled, unskilled, handy guys, smart guys,
Just not broke.
nerds.
Just not broke.
Okay, I was about to jump in there because my dad said, have a man that can fix things or has enough money to pay someone to fix things.
Absolutely. I like the second one because I don't like
Me too.
Let me get our next guest on Troy, all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome to the Chicken Box. How are you, sir?
What's going on? Happy to be in the Chicken Box.
Absolutely. You have a book called Teach Me How to Love. Okay.
Yes.
Where do we learn about these things? I'm sure. So the book may offer some insight as we deal with black people versus dating today on the Chicken Box. I learned backstage that you my good frat brother. So for all the noobs out there, we got some noobs who are going to be talking about love. And fellas, the noobs have dated a little bit. throughout the history.
No comment.
Throughout the history of the fraternity. But we're gonna tell us a little bit. It's called Exclusive Thoughts. Just tell us a little bit, Troy, about what's been going on in your world as far as relationships.
Absolutely. So yeah, my platform is called Exclusive Thoughts. But the name of the book is Teach Me How to Love While What You Don't Know Will Hurt You. Right. Mm-hmm. And I wrote that book for the people out there, essentially for what you asked about. How do we learn how to love? We learn how to do everything else in life. But we're not necessarily taught how to love. We're usually left to the essentially what happened and what we saw growing up, what we exposed to, when that might not always be right. So I wanted to write a book that helped give people a foundation of how to actually love someone else and also how to love themselves. So that's what inspired me to write the book.
Wow. Love yourself. They say that's a very key thing. We're going to get right into it. Black people versus dating. Let me just throw out there, what is the dating scene now? I've been off of it so long, so I'm just saying. Talk to me about the scene. You know, like I hear of all the dating sites, and I hear, you know, even Facebook, everybody is into it. So what's the dating scene out there? I'll start with you, Eric.
So there are many scenes. I think it's a combination of online and strategically placing yourself in spaces where you'll meet other single people. So I am one who I dine alone a lot, intentionally. I am the person that goes to a 5-star restaurant, sits at the bar, have my meal and my cocktail there, and I've never not met someone in that space. I'm also a huge supporter of online dating. I am currently on Match.com and Facebook dating. I am a Match.com paid subscription online dating fan versus free subscriptions. My belief in that is one, at least you know they have a debit card. You need to pay to subscribe. And if someone's paying for something, it's an investment. So anyone that is committed to making a payment to a monthly subscription or an annual subscription may be more serious than someone that's on some swipe right, swipe left free app. I also believe that any of the apps that make people dispensable or non-tangible, like if you can swipe right, like how serious are you taking the dating world? So I tend to stay away from apps that have a game-like disposable feel. So I'm really big on profiles and what people write about themselves versus pictures and what people show. So for me, the dating world is both in person and online.
Troy, you want to add anything?
No, I believe the more dating changes, the more it stays the same. It's just the vehicles in which we date with have evolved, right? And you got to be able to understand that people still overwhelmingly meet people through their social circles,
yes.
Right? And so as you expand your social circles, you expand your dating pool and you expand your chances of finding the person that you might desire to be with. So I would encourage people to use them all, right? Use online, use in person, use the people in which you connect with and you communicate with. So that's how it's changed, but it's still the same. It's still two groups of people that want each other and are fighting to be heard.
Especially if you're professional and busy. For people who are still leery of dating online, you may meet someone in the grocery store. You may meet someone in the line at the bank. But you're absolutely going to meet like-minded people that share your interests. What online does is allow you to see a spectrum of what that person is, what they believe in, what they don't, and it cuts out the dead time. Online is happening. I mean, you can check your messages at 2:00 in the morning, 2:00 in the afternoon. If you're a busy professional person, I lean towards online dating because it's so many people that you may not have had an opportunity to meet otherwise.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Troy.
I was going to say, I often tell people, just get busy doing what you love doing.
Absolutely.
Right? And the more you surround yourself with your purpose and your passion, and there's people around those areas as well. So get busy doing what you love doing, and you'll find people, and it makes conversations so much more organic, makes it easier to have decent dialogue, to inquire about other people. So just get busy doing what you love doing, and then be intentional when you're in those spaces. And now you open yourself up to potentially meeting someone.
Absolutely. Dr. Draper, I know you've pastored, you've been a CEO, so you have probably talked to a lot of couples about relationships. What have you found? What have you heard
I'm
about
only
dating?
laughing because my doctoral dissertation was around relationships.
Oh,
You
see?
know, and the first few words of the thing says it's not a thing, but it says it's all about relationships, right? And it is all about relationships. And so I do a lot of premarital kinds of things with people who really want to be married. Some people don't want to be married. They want to just be in, I see your hand, Erica. They just want to be in some kind of relationship that they can just have a good time, or whatever it is they're looking for. But there are other people that do want to, and some people spend so much time on a wedding, they spend no time developing a relationship. And then they come to pastors and others and say, help fix it for us. So help us, Troy or Erica. Let's say that a person is really apprehensive um, about this whole dating piece, and they are reluctant to jump into that space for whatever reason. I mean, what do you say to people? I mean, I know what you said about, you got to just kind of do it and follow, do some things and make it intentional. But what do you say to that person that says, I don't know if that's safe. I don't know that I want to do that in terms of online.
Mm. So to me, most of that apprehension is driven by fear, right? And that fear is driven because you don't trust yourself, right? You haven't established good boundaries with other people and with yourself. So you don't trust that you're going to make the right decisions. People that have good, healthy boundaries and who trust themselves, they don't mind taking risk because they understand that I'm going to establish the tone of this situation. It's not going to be put on me, right? So I would tell people, if you haven't done your own work to trust yourself and to love yourself, then I wouldn't suggest you date anyway.
It's very interesting. I just did a whole segment on when not to date. So when to date, like one of the things that Troy said is you've got to show up as a whole person. Dating is not about finding your other half. It's not finding someone to make you happy. It's not finding someone to give you interest. Like, you have to have your own hobbies. You have to have your own interests. You have to show up as a whole person. And what dating does is allow you, and the approach that I take, I date multiple people. I am dating unless we've had a intentional conversation that says that you and I are dating exclusively. So until I'm dating exclusively, I am dating because what dating does is allow you to learn your likes, your dislikes. It helps you to develop new boundaries. For people who have had like traumatic relationships or are coming out of bad marriages, it allows you to understand what triggers you and what you still need to work on. So to support what Troy says, when you are healthy and whole and ready to have someone add to the quality of your life, to have someone to share experiences with, to have someone to engage with at dinner. Because I believe that dating and going on a date, the only expectation you should have is if the lighting is right, if the atmosphere is such that we can have a good conversation, that this meal is good, that the cocktail is going to be good, that the service is going to be good. Because we are complete strangers. And when I trust myself and I am out with a complete stranger, I have no expectations of the stranger. So back to people who want to be married, that is great. Please keep that to yourself until there's been a time, like when you know each other. You should not be mentioning that you want to be married on the first date. You should not be picking out your wedding colors over dessert. You should not be picking out who's your bridesmaid going to be before you know this man's last name. So I move in the energy that a date is just a date. I trust me, thus, and I have my clear boundaries. I know what I like. I know what I dislike. I know what my non-negotiables are. So dinner is going to be, or a date, and then you have to define what a date is too. And we can talk about that, Troy. So dinner for me is going to be a good meal with a good conversation. and that will determine if there is a date number 2. So people that are apprehensive about jumping in need to just kill the fear and jump in, because no man or woman is going to fall through the ceiling of your house while you're sitting on the sofa, Netflix, and chilling by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Can you Netflix and chill by yourself? If you just tuned in, everybody, this is Black people versus dating. Okay, it's a big topic. It's a big thing. It's a lot of relationships that have not worked. It's a lot of relationships that we gotten in for the wrong reasons early, and some we've learned our I won't want to say mistakes. We had life lessons, and that we try to move in a different direction. And then it's some that we just keep bumping our head on the same thing, and maybe even attracting the same type of personality. And then you have to look at yourself and say, like Troy said, do you know yourself? Mm-hmm. Courtney, our Gen Zer, what is going on down in your Gen? Well, I'm sorry, I represent the Gen X for all my Gen X's out there. I don't know who else is out there with Gen X. Me and Erica. What about you, Troy?
Millennial? Yeah, I'm a millennial.
Millennial. Okay.
I'm an older millennial is what they would call it.
Older millennial. Okay. Dr. Draper, we know you're a hybrid.
Right. So I'm going to be a younger boomer, but I am a millennial boomer. Sometimes Gen Z, right? According to the folks that want to talk to me anyway. I'm not dating. I am dating. I'm dating my husband of 48, almost 49 years. I am
very
dating.
Nice.
That's a beautiful thing.
We are absolutely dating, and not just on a date night. We are dating.
All right. Well, don't give it all away now. And I want to shout out Craig Talley, Micheline Bowman, Taryn, Jacqueline, Tracy, anybody else who's listening. Just put in the thoughts of if you're dating, or if you haven't dated and you're married and you need to start dating again. Just say something. Where you from? We'd be glad to hear from. We know you're in the conversations. But this is Black People versus Dating, powered by the Afro-American newspaper, the oldest Black business in Maryland. I keep stressing it because it's a big deal. It's 130 years. And I want to keep stressing it. Go to afro.com, visit us, check us out. We're not just a newspaper anymore, y'all. We are a media company. Courtney, talk to me. What's dating looking like in the Gen Z world?
Ooh, I'm going to be honest about it. Gen Zers, I feel like, take a more casual approach to dating, and we often find ourselves in this talking stage. So, like with the talking stage, people will literally talk for like 3 months, and they don't establish like boundaries, or like they don't establish, is this going to be a relationship? Is it not? So then 3 months can turn into like a year, and then you're just quote unquote talking. So I don't know where that came from or why it's happening, but yeah, Gen Zers, that's how they date now.
It's funny. My daughter is 19, and I went to dinner with her and the person she's talking to, and made the mistake of saying, your boyfriend. And to which he said, I need to do something to finalize this, and I haven't done anything yet. And it's been about 6 months. Mm-hmm. So, Courtney, you're absolutely right. They don't define anything for a very long time.
Yeah, what I found is that the Gen Zers, they tend to have a high level of FOMO, right? This fear of missing out. And so because of that, they like to leave their options open and be casual until the next best thing comes along.
I might be Gen Z.
And so you might be. And what ultimately happens, though, what I found is it ends up being counterproductive, because somebody ends up on the emotional roller coaster. Somebody wants a little bit more than the other person wants, but they're afraid to say it. They're afraid to express themselves.
And strangely, in 2022, it's the men more than the women now.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take
the roles have reversed.
Let's take a question, y'all. What are your thoughts on long distance dating? Because sometimes you think that person, like everybody has different beliefs, right? So God, I go by what God says. God says, "He that findeth," and I like how Erica said, "You got to be in places to be found." So find themselves a good thing. So if you're looking for a good thing, and sometimes you're just looking for a good time, okay, that's the two different things. But let's talk about, what are your thoughts on long distance relationships, Troy? Erica?
I love it. Love. I am not someone who needs someone up under me all the time. I'm very busy. I've got a lot of things to do. I am in a lot of places. So for me, I dated one of your frats in Philadelphia for a very long time. And for me, that was somewhere to go for the weekend. That was someone to see, after a long week. And I'm currently talking to someone who's in Los Angeles. And for me, again, that's late nights because the telephone calls are later, but that's a destination to go to. But I think only secure people can be in these spaces, because I'm not someone that's worried about what you're doing in Philadelphia or what you're doing in California, and I don't need you worrying about what I'm doing here. So I think I think that long distance relationships work for people that have busy schedules, that don't have a lot of time to invest in one-on-one all the time, or people that aren't interested in being in needy, clingy, in my face all the time relationships. So I'm a supporter.
Troy?
So what I would say is it depends on what your desired outcome is and what resources you have access to, right? So if your desired outcome is to be married or to be in a committed relationship where you raise a family and all this other kind of stuff, then there has to be some kind of agreement to end the distance at some point. Mm-hmm. If that's not the ultimate goal, then fine, stay long distance. I don't believe, though, that you can really build true intimacy without connection personally, right? Mm-hmm. Being in person. I mean, think about how we work today. I mean, you can talk to a coworker for a year on Zoom and never feel like you even connect with them in any kind of way, right? So I do believe there has to be some plans to end the distance, and you have to have enough resources to be able to fly to Philly, every weekend, or to Los Angeles whenever you feel like going. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have those kind of resources, then I feel like what happens with a lot of long distance relationships, they start off really high, and then when they don't have any connection, they just fall and trail off, right? So what's your desired outcome is what it really matters.
Long distance relationships. Somebody put in there is you got to have a lot of trust, and then
yes, you do
an immense amount of trust. You know what I mean? It's come to the time. I remember growing up, talking on the phone was a thing, right? Now you get to see a person, like this generation, they are, sometimes I don't know what they're doing, but they just have the phone on, the camera on. And mm-hmm. I come into the room with my kids and I don't even know they're on the phone.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Because they are just
eating dinner with FaceTime.
They live their life with someone just looking at them.
And I'm saying, take out the trash. And then I hear a voice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
that's millennials too, though.
Right.
Millennials do that.
Yeah. I'm saying, this immense amount of trust is like, well, turn on your camera. Like, where are you really? You know what I mean? Like, you said you were here, but why don't you want to turn? Do arguments ensue based on not turning the camera on, Courtney? Talk to me.
I'm going to say yeah, because in my generation, couples want to know where you're at, what you're doing, like what you're wearing, like they want to know everything. So if that camera isn't on, then yeah, we get suspicious.
They share locations and everything, right? They share locations, all that.
The suspense thickens. I mean, and are we arguing a lot on through text?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, paragraphs like this.
I mean,
like paragraphs like this long. Where people can't talk like they used to, like the conversations aren't the same. Right. So they'll text you a paragraph and then say nothing on FaceTime.
How about the text? They're texting
can't.
you a whole book, and then you say you just get tired of the text and you go to call them and they'll
answer the phone.
Right.
Everybody to each his own. But let me ask you this, Erica. Erica has started a new column on Afro.com. Her very first column is up, right? And yes. It's about, the name of it is Single in the City. And so in your first column, Erica, you have this statement that says, coffee and a drink at the bar does not a date make. You want to say a little bit more about that?
Not for me. I think that a date takes some intentionality. It takes some effort and some energy. And a coffee meeting or a meeting for a drink could turn into something else. But I'm 52 years old. I'm not wasting my time to go have a cup of coffee in hopes that blossoms into something else. And I'm not interested in having a 3-hour conversation over a cup of coffee because 1, you're too cheap to make an investment, or 2, you're too fearful that the person that you're meeting doesn't look like the profile, because that's why people do it. They really want to meet for coffee or drink so they can get out of there quickly. But I don't have that kind of time. And for me, because I do online, I don't spend a lot of time with emails and texts. I've read your profile, you've read my profile. It should be detailed enough for us to learn something about the other person that interests us. And then we also have pictures. So you've got the attraction in both word and image, and a telephone conversation, at least one. And there's something about the Noops, and I think I have a magnet, but what I've learned from that fraternity, there are many alpha men. I only date alpha men, and that's in my profile. So what happens for me is after a conversation, I'm asked like my availability, and I'll get a link to a reservation at dinner. That is just like the 2022 thing to do that has raised the bar. Don't ask me a bunch of questions. You, in our conversation, you know what kind of food I like. You know what my favorite drink is. You know what my favorite restaurant is. You know that I love flowers. You know where I work. So I've shown up to flowers at my office with an invitation to dinner. So no, coffee and a drink do not a date make for Erica Alston BOXX. Now, many people may want to do those interviews, those short meetings, give themselves an escape route. And that's what I believe those are. So if I'm not worth some investment or some effort, I'm not going. I'm not interested.
Sure.
No, I agree. I think dates should take a certain level of investment, but I do believe that men have to be a little more creative, right? When it comes to that investment. That investment doesn't have to always be monetarily investing. It can be how you listen to her and you provide an experience that let her know you were listening to her, right? It doesn't have to be expensive. I think we lean on it being expensive because that's what the world tells us it has to be. But if you're dating 4 or 5 women and you spending $300 a date, I mean, that's a lot of money. So if you're not creative enough, then you probably should, if you don't have a lot of money to do it, or you're not creative enough, you probably shouldn't be dating a lot of women. You see what I mean? But I do think you got to show a woman that she's special. I mean, I think that's manhood 101 if you're actually pursuing her. Now, if you're only pursuing her for other selfish reasons that we know, then your effort level.
And there's a lot of that.
There's a whole lot of that's the casual part, right?
Yeah.
And there's a set of women who are okay with that, right? Who are okay with not being pursued in that way, and they'll just, they want to have fun too. So I think you got to know who you're dealing with. Like, you couldn't approach Erica that way. You got to know what audience you have, and I think men got to be smarter in that way.
So when they were talking about
in the creative dating as well, that requires a little more thought, I think, that people know. Like, I had a guy as a very creative date. We went axe throwing and the high-speed go-kart riding, and then dinner. When I received that invitation, I was like, whoa, that is awesome. We're going to throw axes, ride a go-kart, then have dinner at a great restaurant. Well, at axe throwing, you're really not that engaged. There's some lightness, but if you don't know each other, it was weird. And there wasn't any physical attraction. So, and then the go-kart riding, you're not together. You're in a car and they're in a car. So there was 2 engagements where there was minimal, and then by the time we got to dinner, I was like, and I talked to other people in the axe throwing. I talked to the couple next to us. So I think when you're thinking about creative dating or doing things outside of the box, you have to make certain that there is room for conversation and attraction and touch even. So
fellas, axe throwing is off the list, I think.
That's gonna be a few dates down, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I know it's just picking up in the Black community, but we ain't been throwing too many axes in our life. I want to throw it and almost killed myself. But anyway, so if you just tuned in, jump in. Hold on, I'm just gonna give
Go ahead, give me 30 seconds. Go ahead.
I don't know where you are in the world. This is Black people versus dating. This is the Chicken BOXX. We're speaking our truth. You can definitely speak yours in the chat, and if it's really strong, I'm sure Erica will, as we move into single in the city, will glad to have you on the podcast so that we can discuss the things that we're going through. We're talking about dating today, and thank you for tuning in, Dr. Draper.
Well, I was going to ask Troy about his book. Teach Me How to Love: Why What You Don't Know will hurt you. And so Troy, you are a relationship coach,
Mhm.
certified relationship coach. Tell us a little bit about what that means, and who some of your clients are, and how, just
Yeah.
just how that works.
No, absolutely. So if you start with the book, right? So my thought process around the book was, we don't necessarily get taught how to navigate relationships. We just look at what we see around us and say, okay, we think that's right, we think that's wrong. But I think what's often happening is what we don't know, the things that are unsaid, are the things that hurt us the most. So why what you don't know will hurt you is important, right? So that's important. So who my clients are. So I'm a certified dating and relationship coach, and my clients are mainly, so if you look at 75% of my clientele is women, right? Then I have another 25% or so, not 25, about 20% or so that are couples. And then I have about 5% or so that are men, right? You're going to ask that question, like, why is it hard to get men? Men don't like to listen to other men a lot of times. Let's just be honest about it. But men cry in the dark, so they tend to hit me in the DM and have questions and such. They don't always become clients, though, but they have a lot of questions. Let's just say that. And so, like I always tell people, my goal is to help people get out of their own way in love. That's really what it is. So as a coach, it's not like a therapist, right? I'm not reaching back and trying to understand your past and understand and digging up all those things and navigating through that. I'm like, where are you at versus where you want to be, right? And then I'm helping hold you accountable to the steps you need to take in order to get the results that you want. And I'm helping you navigate dating apps and things like that. So that's really what I do as a coach. It's not the same thing as like a therapist. I like to make sure I make the distinction.
So is it a difference between dating and hooking up?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, go ahead, Erica.
No, absolutely.
Because I know we hear about the hookup apps, right? And I heard you talking about the swiping apps earlier, and so I'm assuming that that's what we're talking about. For those who might not know, might not have come into the 21st century of trying to hook up, it is now apps for that. I'm not promoting them, but I'm just saying they are out there.
And hooking up is simply two people getting together for a physical experience. However, there are many people that are on apps, on dating sites that are solely there to hook up, but are using language and tactics to lead women to believe that it's more than just a hookup. And I just recently had a conversation, or one of my shows, where women and we are worthy, we are valuable, we are enough, and this 90-day rule and the 6-month rule. And women that are online dating need to understand that men will absolutely slow walk you to get it. If you have a 90-day rule and you are talking to a man for 90 days, he will get it on day 91 and never call you again. If someone's intention is just to hook up, regardless of how long you engage with them, once the hookup happens, that's it. So it really is back to boundaries. It's back to trusting yourself. It's back to your own expectations. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. You need to understand that whether you give it to them on the first night or you give it to them on the 110th night, you need to be okay with that person walking away if that's all that person intended.
So you're saying they're like secret agents, Erica?
I am indeed. Like, look, men will do anything under the pretense of they might get some. And that goes from 26 to 66. It does not change. Women ruling the world and men trying to get it will never get old. It is that women need to create for themselves a safe space, their own boundaries, know themselves in a way that you are able to engage with someone and understand that they are playing.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times it comes down to being very clear about what your intentions are too. I think we keep the water very muddy, and murky on purpose, because we don't want to push someone away, or we don't want to confuse them, or we don't want to, turn them off. But what you do when you aren't clear about what your intentions are, then you don't even understand how to navigate the dating experience, right? When you don't know what you want, then you can't communicate that to somebody else, and you got to stop being afraid to communicate that. The person who wants what you want isn't going to be turned off by you communicating what you want, right? So you got to
or what you don't want,
or what you don't want, and what you don't desire, right? And so I think we got to be very clear. I think people talk real big, but I don't know if their actions really follow it.
So, Erica, when you said first date, don't say you want to get married, and blurt everything out the way. Is that saying what you want, or is that saying?
So there's a way. I mean, you can say that you want to be married. Because people,
or that you're looking for an intentional relationship, or.
So my profile says that I am open to the possibility of a relationship in 2023.
Gotcha.
And that's been up through 2022.
Gotcha. Okay.
I am open to the possibility of a relationship in 2023. And relationship for me is defined as exclusive. So if I want to be married, absolutely. Somewhere in your profile, you're going to say you want to be married. I don't want to be married today. I don't want to be married tomorrow. So it's your wording. And even in the conversation, when you're letting the person know of your intentions, you can absolutely let them know that you one day want to be married. I am still open to being married. But it shouldn't be every other sentence. You shouldn't be beating someone over the head with you want to be married. Like, I personally don't want to have marriage conversations on first dates, and men are doing that. And I'm not showing up. And you can't change the rules midway. You can't get in under the pretense that I absolutely do not want to get married. If I don't want to get married. Then 6 months later, everything get good. Now all of a sudden, you throw in your what channel is that on? Size 6.5. So don't change the rules midway. And it needs to be. There's so much. It's compromise. Like, we're adults. There needs to be like real conversations around your plans, your goals, your intentions. And when Troy said, like, you need to let your intention, men aren't going to say my only intention is to get some. They're never going to say that. Mm-hmm. They'll say that they don't want to be in a relationship, which means they only want some. They're going to say that I just got out of something. I'm not ready to commit. That means that they want some. So we're listening to the language. We're listening to what people are saying and what they're not saying. And with marriage, I think not saying in detail as often as it pops in your head that I want to get married, but in a way that lets the person know that you're not here to play. Mm-hmm. I am open to marriage. I do one day want to be married. Marriage is not out of the picture for me. Like, things like that versus, oh yeah, I'm going to be married by the time I'm 36 and you're 35 and your birthday's next month. Like, don't do that.
Courtney, let me bring the Gen Z back into it. When you guys meet initially in these relationships, is it your authentic self, or is it a representative?
I feel like a lot of people have a representative. They want to like look the best, and they want you to get like a certain impression of them. And then like as the months like unfold, then the real them starts to come out. And then you're like, wait, who is this? Like, this isn't the person who I met. And then when you like confront it, then they try to like gaslight you. So it's weird. It's just weird out here.
So they try to gaslight you?
Yeah, they'll gaslight you.
What is gaslight? Get me together, because I don't know.
Gaslighting is like when, in other words, you try to make someone feel like they're crazy when they really aren't. So like facts, but then you're like, no, like I didn't mean that, or you're just imagining stuff.
Got it. So Courtney, so catfishing is still a real thing?
Unfortunately, it is. I guess people do it in like different ways. Like, they don't use like pictures of celebrities, but you can use like Photoshop and you can enhance your photos. You can like make yourself yeah. That's like the new way of
catfishing. It's a real thing. Oh yeah, the filters go from 5 to 10.
Mask fishing. Like, people look very different with their mask on.
Oh, God.
So there's a term called mask fishing, because you meet someone and they have nice eyes and you have a good conversation, but when they pull the mask off, they look totally different. Mask fishing is a thing. And there are people on the profiles that have their mask on their profiles.
Oh, they call it hat fishing. They got hat fishing
too.
Where men are in their hats and they take it off and it's a mess up there or there's nothing up there.
Hat fishing, mask fishing, and catfishing.
Welcome to 2022.
This is Black people versus dating. in 2022, which is winding down, which will probably be close to dating in 2023 as it was. The difference is the technology. You know, back in the day before pagers, you know, people would just leave and be out, and it was, you know, you hear all the old songs that they wrote about. It was hard to, you had to really get caught, and you had to have an eyewitness when you got caught cheating. That might be a whole nother.
But I like what Troy said. You know, it's just like the media business. The method has changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's always changing, but the core of it is still the same.
Yeah, that's true.
It really is. It's still the same. It's still all about, you know, how you relate to somebody and your ability. So what would you say, Erica? What would you say, Troy? I know some things you already said are fueled by fear, but what would you say to the person who really, they want to date, they want to be in relationship? How would you motivate them, or what would you say to them to help them to get started? Because I think there's some people watching this show today that says, you know what, I want to do this thing. I'm you know, I'm really tired of being by myself, or I want to have fun. What would you say?
I would challenge them, because it's a challenge. Like my following is a bunch of single people that don't want to be single, but have had such experiences that they're very fearful. And then you hear the things that we're talking about today, and how crafty you've got to be to navigate this space. I would suggest online. And what online allows you to do, like you can hide behind the camera for a while. You can show the best versions of yourself. You know, show great pictures. Ladies, always have full body shots.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't know just from the head up. Men believe that you are insecure about your body, or you're hiding something if you don't show your entire body. You have to have at least one full body. Show yourself with other people. Show yourself traveling. Show yourself having fun, and make the pictures recent. Don't use old pictures. And for women that are, giving pictures from their head up because they're maybe a little overweight, or they're insecure about their body shape, trust me, I read enough male profiles that say nothing wants a bone but a dog, must have some extra pounds, need some push. Like, there are men that are specifically looking for women that have a few pounds on them. I am not the average size woman. You are the average size woman. So if that is what men are seeing on average, you need to show yourself. So I would tell people that are fearful to start by going online. You don't have to pay for a subscription. Facebook dating is a thing. You can do the Facebook dating app. People on Facebook can't see your dating profile. People don't know that you're on there. I've rarely bumped into anyone that I've known in real life. So anyone that's interested in starting dating in the new year, I would challenge you to have a profile written, a few lines about yourself, your interests, and put it up by December 31st. When you are making your proclamations and your resolutions for new year, new you, add dating to it. Challenge yourself to write a profile, gather your pictures, ask your friends for the best pictures that they've taken of you, because they got your angles, they got your good shots. And this is for men and women. Men, there are so many women that are looking to be in a relationship. There are so many women. Like, I'm over 50 years old. There are so many of us that are over 50 that have been divorced, that are separated, that are ready to move into a new space in their lives. So don't be fearful because of your age. My profile literally says from 35 to 75. So I'll tell you, not really crazy, baby.
So that goes, Erica.
There's somebody for everyone.
Erica and Troy, that goes for the fellas too. They said the dad bods were in, right? They said,
oh yeah,
no, dad bod is in. Show that dad bod.
Dad bods are in. Show it, fellas. I don't know about taking your shirts off. Leave your shirt on, folks. But
Erica, you said New Year, New You. That's the theme for the Afro's upcoming special edition next week.
Absolutely.
New Year.
There it is. And I'll make my column about going into the new year ready to date.
And I like what you said, though. You have to be comfortable with who you are.
Absolutely.
All right. So that, that helps with the being genuine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look like you weigh 120, from the neck up, and when you stand up, it's clearly 220.
Yes.
The person's going to see it anyway.
And people believe that they can catfish and talk, and then there's interest in your personality, and you hang up first. No, you hang up first. So you're doing all of these, but you've been deceptive with your pictures. People really believe that they're going to arrive at dinner and be 200 pounds more than your picture, and that person's going to continue to like you because you've got a connection. That does not happen. They see you, they meet you, and you've deceived them, and the relationship is over. So you've wasted your time and theirs. So be yourself.
Okay, that's good. Who pays for dinner on the first date?
Most of the time, the men do.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the men do.
I think they do. I mean, to me, like if you really think about it, men know their role most of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think what men really are asking for now more than they used to, they're asking for active participants.
Yeah.
In dating. They're just saying, do I got to pay for all the dates?
No.
Or will you offer at some point, to help contribute in some way to this financial expense? You see what I mean? They just want active participants. I don't think it's really that they want women to pay for everything. And if they do, that's your problem. That's a red flag right there anyway.
And women, we can offer to cover the drinks. I'll cover the tip. Like, we can contribute in some way. If dinner has been great, I'd love to see you again. Next time on me. Men love when we show up willing to take some of the tab as well. I think that shows financial independence. Men aren't looking to take care of anyone. So I am, in my profile, it says, I am not looking for anyone to pay my bills or take care of me. I do a very good job of taking care of myself. Thus, the bar has been set. So men know, don't come at me goofy, because I'm doing a good job for myself. I think that there are a lot of women that are looking for people to finance their lives. Men don't want that. I mean, and the men that do want that, if they're financing your life, it's going to be some superficial, physical relationship. And if that's not what you want, don't present yourself that way.
So what are the questions on these first dates? What are the icebreakers? Talk to me, Erica and Troy. What are the opening? I mean, like, what is a conversation like?
Oh man, it's so many, right? I think it has to evolve. It has to revolve around what people love. Like, what do they love to do? What are they passionate about? What's a good day look like for them? What's their ideal? Like, if they could travel anywhere, you're just trying to collect data. That's all you're trying to do. You're trying to understand what it is that drives them. What it is that they desire out of life. What are they excited about? I think those are the questions you want to be asking, not, are you going to get married tomorrow type of questions. You know what I mean? And then always tell people, go look up questions to ask before you go on a date. So some people aren't great conversationalists, right? So go have a few in your back pocket. They got card games for this. They got all kind of stuff for this. So have some questions in your mind so you don't get stuck and you don't feel like, you can't have a good conversation, but you just want to find out more about the person. That's it.
Right. Listen, fellas and ladies, that fast. I just put in Google question. What's your favorite way to spend your day off? What type of music are you into? What's the best vacation you ever took? Where's the next place you'd like to travel on your bucket list? What's your favorite age growing up? What was the last thing you read?
It's all there. It's all
right
there.
There you go. I mean, it's like the playbook is there.
The playbook is there.
Do you have a playbook? I'm wondering.
So one thing I did want to add, right, is because we had a question earlier about for the person that's looking to get into the dating space this year. The only thing I did want to add to that is get clarity first. Like, get clarity on what it is that you want, what it is that you desire, your dislikes, your deal breakers, your non-negotiables, your values. If you get clear on that stuff, then it makes the dating scene a lot less intimidating if you get really clear on that stuff first. So I just wanted to add that as just like a prerequisite to do all the great things that Erica said too in terms of how you date, but get clear first.
That makes sense. Look, there's a question in the chat specifically for you, Erica, and the person wants to know, can you give an example of a date that costs no money?
Well, in Baltimore, it's easy. So many of our museums have free days. Like a trip to a museum is always, and it's back to the person's interest as well. So you can't go out with someone who's not interested in arts and culture and ask them to the museum. I always laugh when someone's profile says they like long walks in the park. No one likes long walks in the park. However, because people use that, you can meet in a park. You can fly a kite. You can have a picnic. Picnics are great. I mean, that's not totally free, but it's going to cost you something to be creative in that space. That's a bottle of wine, some cheese, some sliced meats, and a nice place to go. You're both online. You can agree to meet somewhere to take pictures for their social media, your social media. That's free. You can go and listen to music like Soundgarden, flipping through albums. You can go to a library. There are so many things that are mentally and arts and culturally stimulating that you can do for free. You can agree to meet for lunch and someone can pack the lunch. What is your favorite food? You can cook together. And that's contingent on you've talked, you've texted, you've sent emails, you've learned interest. You can come up with a free date together. Because I said a date is intention and effort. It doesn't, I didn't say expenses. It doesn't have to cost. If the two of you, a great first date is, let's think of something cool that we can do that costs no money. Play Uno. Because I'm thinking by the time you're saying okay to a first date, there are Uno cards where you can write in what a draw four is or what, take a shot. You can you can play drinking games. So there are so many creative things that you can do based on your interest, the other party's interest, but just don't go planning free dates that you aren't certain if that person's going to like those things. Absolutely. Don't go planning to go have an ice cream cone and this person is lactose intolerant. You got to make certain that you know what's interesting.
Right. Don't plan to work out and your partner don't like that.
Yeah, they don't like it.
I will go for a run, but Dad Bod over here is probably not running with me.
He don't want to.
He might time you though. He might say, look, let me see if he can beat yesterday.
He can ride the bike.
Yeah, a walk around Montebello is a great place to walk and talk. There's so many sites to see. Like people are out with their dogs and their families. They're biking and they're running, and there's great conversation walking around Montebello. That's a great one.
And
I think there's a space. There's also a space for virtual dates too. Right?
There is.
You have that long distance.
Yeah.
I mean, I always have this idea in my mind of doing like a virtual date where we have a battle of our favorite R&B playlists and we fix cocktails at the same time. Right, and it's virtual, but you can learn a lot about someone through music and what they like and what they dislike. It opens up conversation. You have your favorite drinks, so you cook the same meal, whatever it is, but it's probably free, right? Yep. So it's just something else to think about virtually if you have long distance.
Yeah, and that's virtually that's FaceTime. That's your iPad as well. That's Facebook conferencing. You can share a recipe and who did it better. You can have a drink cocktail recipe and do it and. You can Netflix and chill remotely.
I was thinking, I found my grandparents' love letters while they were courting from 1915. Wow. And I wrote a book called No Ordinary Hookup about their courtship. It's on Amazon. It's called No Ordinary Hookup, the courtship of Carl and Vashti Murphy. And in 1915, here's how they did dating, right? Just so they wrote letters. So I had all of their handwritten letters, they're all in the book. And their letters were about, so what are you reading? And what are you listening to? And what did you get out of the sermon? So he was in DC and she was in Baltimore. And one of his letters said, I don't think much of a postal service that takes more than 2 days for my letter to get to you.
How awesome is that?
And so they had supervised visits, right? And at one time they were writing about something, and in little fine print, he said, well, can I come over this weekend?
Really?
So, we're 100 years later, right? And people are still courting and dating, but they did it through just writing about things that they liked. What did you think about this book? What did you think about this music? What did you think about this?
That was their version of online dating.
That was their version of online, but it was longhand dating.
Yeah.
I want to ask this. We're almost out of time. I want to ask both of you, what are some red flags? What should people like? This happens, they should just run the other way. What do you all think?
So trauma bonds are real. I think a red flag for me is someone who is sharing their hardships or what they've overcome, like on the first conversation. I think until someone is a safe space for you, you shouldn't be sharing your past hurts or abuse or trauma or addiction or any. I think when people lead with that, they're looking for someone to attach to that. So that is my biggest red flag when people want to reveal to me their deepest, darkest, traumas. I used to believe that men my age who had never been married and didn't have kids, I thought, you're 60 years old, you've never been married and no kids. No one ever wanted to keep you or at least trap you. So that was a red flag for me. But what I've learned is I'm asking different questions now when I see that men have never been married and don't have kids. My next question is, were you raised by a mom and dad that were married for a long time? And most of the time, the answer is yes. So men that have reached 60 and have not been married is because they're fearful of not having that one person, which is also a red flag. So if there's some kind of commitment phobe or someone that, I blocked someone the other day because they said to me they've been divorced since 2013 and had not been in a long-term relationship since. And I asked, what was the longest? And he said 3 months. That was a red flag for me. That's not someone that I want to talk to. Like, you're the common denominator. There can't be something wrong with every woman that you're dating. And another red flag is someone who blames other people for why they're where they are. So those are the flags for me.
Yeah. One I would add to it is people who have a lack of accountability for the role they play in any mistakes in their life, right? So all their past relationships, if they failed, things that didn't go well, and the only thing they do is blame the other person.
They was crazy. She was crazy. They was
crazy. Yeah, all those kind of things. And they never stop to say, this is what I learned from this.
Yeah.
Here's what I took away. Here's how I got better. To me, that's a big red flag when it comes to dating. I think the other thing is if they spend a lot of time talking about their ex, like if it's the topic of conversation all the time, they're still dogging their ex, they're still talking about their ex, there's still some wound there, right? You can have wound there, but be conscious of who you're in front of. Are you trying to get to know me or are you still trying to dog your ex out? Right? Yeah. To me, those are two big red flags for me. And also inconsistency.
Big.
Someone is like a really inconsistent person who you got to guess when they're going to call you again. They might
disappears.
Call you, they disappear. They do all those things. They ghost you and come back. Those are red flags. They don't respect you or your time.
And for women, I would say match the energy. Like, don't do more than what you're receiving initially in this exchange. Match the energy that you're getting. Like, you shouldn't be dropping off lunch. You shouldn't be doing people's laundry. You shouldn't be going up cleaning up his house. He shouldn't be your first call in the morning. Like, when men want to be with you, you don't have to question it. Men make effort and men do what they want to do. Men make excuses for the things that they don't want to do. So if men are giving you excuses for their unavailability, for their inconsistency, they are doing something else. And you should be too. So I'll leave that there.
Oh, you're getting the playbook today. This has been Black People versus Dating. We are winding down of the time, but because it is our channel, we can go over, right? It's not a few minutes, but I just want to, this is a chance for everybody gets on the box. Thank you, everybody who's been tuning in, Dripping in Black, Ray, Donald, Ivy, Cecilia, Taryn, all of the people who've been commenting. This is a hot topic. We have a new column in there, Afro, a new columnist. Surprise. Alston Buck is now with us and she's now writing and she will also be doing her podcast. So check her out because she is giving up all the good info and helping a lot of people through this dating space. And, hey, everybody should just tune in, even if you're married. All right. Because
even if you're married,
because sometimes you become complacent. And you do everything. You got the kids, the job, you're trying to make more money, the hustle, everything else. And you forget, hey, this is my, the one I said forever with, and I'm neglecting this person. So Courtney, I know we didn't get you. I wanted before we get on the box, do you have a burning question for any of our guests before we get off?
Yes, I had one last question. Do you think it's wrong to do your homework and research someone who you're interested in before you guys get together? Like if you go on a website and like look up their phone number and find their social media? Like, is it wrong to like lurk, I guess?
You better lurk. You better lurk. Just don't reveal to them information that they haven't given you, because that's creepy. So men always Google me. So it's really tough dating when you got a podcast saying date them all. You're writing a column called Single in the City, and you're on platforms saying you're considering a relationship. So I hate when men find my podcast. I hate when men find because they can't make the difference between what I do and who I am. But you all Google, find the phone number, go through Facebook, go through IG, hit friends, go down the rabbit hole, go do it all. Because people are only going to give to you what they want you to have. And in this dating space, you need as much information as you can get to put yourself in the best position. So there are people that are they're out here married. I got a message from someone on a dating app and did the rabbit hole, found the wife and took a screenshot and gave it to her. Your husband's on this dating site. And she was like, thank you so much. So there are married people. There are people that are doing things that don't align with your lifestyle. All we have is our personal and professional reputations, and we have to protect that. So do all the work you can, but don't reveal to them that you know more than what they've given to you, because then you're a creep.
Man,
Absolutely.
Troy, what you think he was feeling when he got busted on that one? It was like, good job, man.
That sounds like a
Screenshot.
that sounds like a rookie mistake right there. I mean, that's bold, right? That's really bold of him. And so, I mean, people always say like it's just social media or it's just the internet. I don't agree with that. I agree. I think that it's a reflection of you. If I was going to hire you for a job, I look at candidates when I'm hiring.
Absolutely.
Right. I go research them. I go look at their LinkedIn. I go look at their Instagram. I Google them, all those kind of things, because everybody's so willing to let you know like what their life stands for, like what they're passionate about. I can learn things about you, and you can't come back to me and say, it's just social media. I'll say, well, you put it out there for a reason. So what is it you want me to take away from this? Right. So I don't believe in that. So I think you should. And trust me, men do the same thing to women. Like don't get it twisted. Like men go down the rabbit hole and try to figure out what you're doing, who you with, who lurking, what dude on the pictures, when you
who's liking the pictures, who's commenting.
Are you saying all that? I see her in the picture with this person. Friends that are dating say this. But listen, we're gonna get on the chicken box real quick. We might have a part 2 of dating on, because I think this has been really healthy and good conversation. Thanks everybody who's been tuning in. David Thompson says, "Wow, right? Wow, you busted. Busted is. I don't even know how you come from that. What are you doing on a dating site? Married? Hello. Well, anyway, that's a whole nother thing.
They may have an arrangement.
Hey, I heard people say, I'm married, but we having problems. Hello. Anyway, Dr. Draper, I know you usually have to go around this time because you have another meeting scheduled, but let's do the final words, and I'll let you get on the box first. You're on the box.
But first, I want to thank our guests. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Troy, so much for sharing your gifts and talents. And thank you for what you're doing, right? Because what you're doing is helping, we pray, to create healthy relationships. There's such a thing as healthy relationships, right? It's not all just a game. Sometimes people approach it as a game, especially around this time of the year, right? It's when I grew up, I don't think people don't do this anymore. They quit all their girlfriends and boyfriends in December. Back in January, they had to buy no gift. But anyway, but that's all. It's all part of a game. But you all are professionals in this space. You're professionals in this space. You're sharing what you know. You're doing it through a podcast. You're doing it through writing. And so kudos to you. So I just want to say to everybody who's watching that relationships can work, but you have to bring your authentic self to the party. And you don't have to be like somebody else, because when somebody pulls the covers back, I don't want to use that pun. When somebody looks at you and realizes that you're not who you purport to be, that's not a relationship. That's a game. And we were created in God's image to be in healthy relationships, one with the other. And every relationship doesn't have to lead to the bedroom.
Right.
Here's what my husband would say if he were, and he may be watching: be friends first. Learn how to be somebody's friend for real and have that kind of relationship. And if it develops into something else, so be it. But if you're not married, my husband tells couples this all the time. If you're not married to your best friend, work on that friendship first. I'm off the box.
Well, also, Dr. Draper, you know,
Yeah,
because we were talking about time before. How long did you date before you got married?
not long. We met Labor.
Oh, she with me.
You on mute.
Yeah, we met Labor Day and got married in January.
Wow.
And have been
I love
married
it.
long.
49 years in January.
So time means nothing, huh? When you
No, no, it means a lot. We were blessed.
Mhm.
That's all I can tell you, right? And my husband's a great guy. We work on our relationship.
There you go.
We work in our relationship, but we work on our relationship. Our children will say they've never seen us argue about anything
Wow.
in 50 years. Not because we haven't disagreed on something, but
Mhm.
you can disagree without being disagreeable.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I'm off
Love
the
it.
box.
Off the
All
box.
right.
Courtney, you're on the box.
I want to say we love to see it. Thank you, Dr. Draper. I feel like people need to hear more about like positive and uplifting relationships. So that's great to hear about. And thank you, Troy and Erica, for joining us today. I feel like you guys provided some great insights and advice for people, especially for Gen Zers, because we need to get it together. Like it's it's bad. But thank you. And yeah, I hope that people choose love instead of situationships and casual relations, and yeah, choose love and happiness. And I'm
There's a new ship, y'all. Situationships. I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
Troy, final words.
So,
You on the box.
final words for me is just start with you, right? Just start with you. I think at the core of how to navigate dating and how to navigate relationships is you got to understand yourself better. And when you understand yourself better, you navigate the world of dating a lot better. Your confidence grows, your boundaries are there, they're set, you trust yourself, and you do things differently than just accepting what it is that's given to you. So start with you. That's what I would say.
Absolutely. I'm going to get on the box real quick. Being married for my third and final time, I've had some dating in my life. And get to know yourself. Get to know who God created you to be. Get to know your purpose. Get to know your own boundaries. And then don't try to make somebody happy. You got to get some joy within yourself. And once you have that joy in yourself, then you can carry that glow into the relationship and read the signs. Because if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's typically not going to change. So all of that you're making believe that you're going to change a person, or that's going to all of a sudden, like you said, after 50 years be totally different, you are setting yourself up for Heartbreak Hotel. Go look at it, Michael Jackson. And thank you, Troy, my good frat brother. Newt, stay on the line. I'm gonna get your contact after we air. But final words for our newest columnist at the Afro American newspaper, Maryland's oldest black business, 130, and the third oldest black business in the country, now has a relationship guru on board, and we're glad to have you. Final words, Erica. You are on the box.
First, I am honored and so happy to be a part of the team. I'm super excited, and the readers are super excited. I got such great feedback on the first article. In closing, I'd like to say, show up as your whole authentic self. If you believe that you need to dim your light or act as if or pretend to be accepted by someone, understanding that people pleasing is not of love. People pleasing is of fear. So if you have any fear of meeting new people for how they'll receive you, you have to show up as your whole authentic self. Do not look for someone to make you happy. Do not look for someone to make you whole. Do not look for someone to bring you joy, to make your experiences better. Show up as yourself, understanding that people will only add to what you bring. Dating. Date them all. And what I mean by that is don't have a type. Don't box yourself in. Go on many dates. Find out what you like, what you dislike. Discover your non-negotiables. Set safe boundaries for yourself and trust who you are. When you trust who you are, you don't have to worry about what other people are going to do because you're in a safe space with yourself. Date them all. And I'll see you on Single in the City on the Afro.
Absolutely.
Right.
This has been the Chicken Box powered by the Afro-American newspaper. Go to afro.com. For less than $2 Uber Eats, you can have a subscription all year long. We are Black-owned, Black-operated, and we inform, educate, and inspire. And nobody owns our media desk. Nobody owns our editorial rooms. Nobody owns what we say. We're going to speak for you. We are a true news organization who believes in serving the community, and we need your support so we can have all of the new, great potential and the new superstars come on and really help continue to grow this business for the next 130 years. God willing, we'll see you next week on Thursday. And if you haven't smiled, here it is. Now's your time. It makes you feel better. I'm telling you. If you had that frown all day, if you just smile, it is going to help you. Thank you, everybody who tuned in and who contributed to the conversation. Share it with somebody because somebody's in a relationship that needs to hear at least one thing that we said today. Have a great day, everybody, and enjoy your weekend. Go Ravens.